Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, friends. Welcome back to another broadcast where we review the greatest show on television, some of the best writing. It's beautiful, brave, it's stunning. It's Doctor Who from the BBC, starring Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall. Oh, as he's written by Chris Chibnall, but it's starring his awful writing. And I am joined today by we have part of the colonialist we have all the colonies represented almost here. We got America right here, America, I'm the ignorant American. And then we have Canada with Bullstrek. Hi, Bullstrek.
Hi, I apologize on behalf of my country.
And then we have the now free from the European Union representing the United Kingdom. The third female doctor played by Starry Girl. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Greetings.
Good, thank you.
I was thinking about wearing my bowler hat today and my British flag suspenders, but I'm going to save that for the finale. So I just wore my really dated Obama Cyberman shirt here.
That's good. I've got my
there you go,
I represent.
But we're not fans. We're not fans of the show. We're just haters.
No, we hate the show. I've never watched Doctor Who ever. Nope. I just imagined watching this at 3 years old. So yeah, it's just me.
Yeah, it's just you. You never understood that it was always this way. Or recently in The Guardians, Doctor Who fans have always hated Doctor Who. That was a good. It was called Moving the Goalposts.
Well, Chris Chibnall did.
Yes, he did. Karma's a bitch. Karma's a bitch. So we have Ascension of the Cybermen, which is the penultimate episode. And it's, I don't know about you guys, but I was just like waiting for the other shoe to drop. It didn't really drop this episode. Of course, Bullstrek and I discussed a little bit. There's some spoilers out there that we're not going to mention here because if somebody is enjoying this, I don't want to ruin it. Although the show can do it itself. And also, I don't want to get struck down because our friend Noel got one of his videos blocked because of this. So that's not a sign that they're right at all, is it, Bullstrek?
No, we've never been right about anything.
Nope.
Gotta love the BBC.
And I won't even mention my rumor. I'm saving it. I'm gonna wait until next week to break out my Nerdstradamus meme. But and we'll see if it's right or not, or how what percentage of right it is. I think it's going to be mostly right, but not all the way right, based on what Noel has reported. He's done fine work over there as well. Fine work. So we end up with the lone Cyberman, and the doctor did not heed Captain Jack's advice when he said, don't give the Cyberman what it wants at any cost. And she gave him the silver snot bubble. And he went, and the cyber war continued and brought humanity down to a few people, like 7, they counted when they landed on that planet. And those are the survivors, and it's just a teacher and a nurse. These aren't warriors. These are people who have just been running.
Don't forget the super cowardly white dudes.
Yes, the 2 super. Well, I mean, that's obligatory at this point.
Yeah.
The stunning and brave female. I was surprised that she wasn't the leader, but then she became the leader after the leader died. So we knew he was dead. It's like there's your red shirt right there, male leader in a Doctor Who episode.
And it didn't feel anything like World Enough and Time when the Doctor falls at all. It was like same situation.
No,
but not on a ship.
That's all they've done this season. They did nothing epic in series 11. They just they had these little stories, these little cute stories with the companions, with the fam. Hate that. I hate the fam, by the way.
Yeah.
And we finally had the doctor, the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, acknowledge that she has been very reckless with her companions because she has been.
Yes.
I was actually kind of surprised by that because they usually sidestep it. Maybe they're listening to the criticism. Actually, no, scratch that. They hate us.
No, they do. Now, I don't doubt at all that they have made an effort to try to please as many fans as they can while not giving up on their identity politics and on PC nonsense. I just think this is the best they can do. I think this is simply the best we're going to get, and it's just repurposed who. I mean, sorry to jump to the end, but I mean, the Master being related to the Cybermen again is just, whatever. And we'll find out about that. But it was this episode was a lot of action. There was tons of action that was not really connected. We didn't get I didn't know anybody's name. I guess that doesn't matter anymore.
It's got quite the extensive guest cast list.
Yes, and we had a flashback with so we had two concurrent stories. One was a flashback, all with cliffhangers, so we didn't get a real resolution at the end. I mean, we could speculate, and I think you're kind of probably right, starry-eyed girl, with your assumption on that one. So, yeah, they just ran around being chased inexplicably. The Cybermen, they have the cyber drones. They kill a couple people. They are able to steal a cyber ship because there's three Cybermen left now. Somehow, the lone Cyberman found a couple of buddies, and they walked away from their ship and left it unguarded. And apparently you can just walk. I don't know how the Cybermen defeated most of the universe when you can walk away from a ship and somebody can walk in and just pilot it. I don't know how that's possible.
Best not ask questions.
Yeah.
That's the only way to describe Chib's era Doctor Who. Best not ask questions, but the answer is Chibs doesn't understand it either. It just happens. Oh, let's not forget, and this is kind of funny. So Call the Midwife, I believe, follows Doctor Who each week, which is now doubling Doctor Who ratings. Did anybody notice that this episode, not only was it a tonal mess, but half of it, I think Starry said this while we were chatting throughout the episode, it also turned into Call the Midwife for a while.
Yes.
It did. And you know what? Our chats during the episode are so much more entertaining. I wish I could share that with the viewers. Maybe someday I will. We could just, it's our stream of consciousness during the show of just like, what the hell was that? I have a question. Cybermen need men and women, but they need humans.
Yes.
How are the Cybermen victorious or ascending if they wiped everybody out?
Because Chib said so.
Okay.
Also, keep in mind, and probably my favorite scene in the episode with this. Well, there's always a lot, but I could do a top 10 list of ridiculous scenes in the episode. But they're co-opting old Cybermen. That wonderful scene where Cyber Dude, I'll just call him Cyber Dude, is torturing classic series Cybermen, and we're listening to him scream. So my take on this was we are watching Chibs make classic Who scream. But in terms of where all these new Cybermen came from, at least in previous episodes, we've gotten an explanation. But this is how Chibs formulates this stuff. He doesn't actually think. There's no plotting. There's no explanation. For me, this whole episode just reeked of absolute desperation. And that's what I found hilarious, especially that opening sequence where it's like, oh, you have a voice modulator. Okay, then that means you're deep. And then the Cyberman's head goes into the god-awful opening sequence. And then you have the effects. And then you have the drone Cybermen heads, which, the effects on that were just mind-blowing.
They were brilliant. And we don't even have to compare you just compare this to Modern Who, and Modern Who 10 years ago looked better.
Yes.
I was watching, I was on the Doctor Who channel, and they did a little Cybermen retrospective video that only had 81,000 views, by the way. Very, very sad. And even with the Capaldi stuff towards the end, World Enough in Time, and that looks so much better. I don't know, they just looks better. And they have the money. I watched Dracula. I know that was a co-production, but I didn't love it, but it looked good. It looked great. So it was a bunch of action scenes. It was a bunch of, we're getting into one ship and escaping. That's barely working. And then we're getting in the cyber ship. So the Doctor gets separated. Tolson Cole's Ryan just does nothing. Yaz takes charge for a minute. Graham, as Starry says, gets more cockney as each episode goes on.
Yes.
Your thoughts on that, Starry?
He's getting really, really irritating, and I don't like it because I do really like Bradley Walsh. But I just thought he was really annoying in this. And it really angered me that he didn't leave the ship to go and find Ryan. You know, that's his last remaining relative. You know, when I think of, previous companions, even Jackie, when Jackie came back, she time traveled just to see what Rose was doing, It's so stupid.
Yeah,
Go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say the whole bringing Jack back was a waste. He came back, warned the doctor, and she just immediately didn't heed it, and that's it. Like, I mean, bringing him back, like his warning should have lasted through next season, actually, but now it's just done. I don't even know why they brought him back for that, because she just gave it up anyway.
Well, I've got an explanation for that, given that Chibs is so great at plotting out these seasons. Keep in mind that Captain Jack was obviously a reshoot, so apparently he didn't bother reconfiguring the rest of the series like, a normal person would, or a normal showrunner would. So that's why it's so incredibly disjointed. And you actually, Gary, you're right when you talk about how much better Doctor Who looked 10 years ago compared to how it looks now. Lately I've been watching Matt Smith's first season, so series 5, and the Blu-ray has some frame rate issues because it wasn't the best transfer. But visually, it looks 10 years newer than what we're getting now on screen. So it's, and just look at the effects. I'm like, Stephen Moffat, okay, all is forgiven, for the love of God, please come back. Although apparently Moffat and Gatiss like this crap. So yeah, thank you for that too, Moffat. I don't know, maybe they were holding him hostage. Who knows?
Yeah, I think they were just looking out for their bud. They're not going to throw him under the bus. But I agree with Noel. Gatiss looked like he just was grimacing through. I mean, he's just and I listen, I've never been the biggest Gatiss fan. I like some of his stuff, but the Moff is looking real good right now. Looking real good.
The thing is, they both have contracts with the BBC, so obviously they're not. Yeah. They can't rock the boat. Otherwise we wouldn't get Dracula series 2. Yeah. Which apparently is a thing.
If you don't think these older showrunners care about the legacy, I'm going to go to another show real quick. Rick Berman tweeted out, "How's everybody enjoying Star Trek Picard?"
Oh God, I saw that. Yeah,
that was epic. And the responses, I'm actually thinking about doing the video. The responses are gold. So go on Twitter and read those responses. And Moff has got to feel the same way, but he can't say anything.
No, well, you can tell. I've actually this past week I watched the hour-long interview or whatever it was with Moffat and Gatiss on the Third Doctor Series 4 Blu-ray, and they were saying so many things that made so much sense when you look at it in context with what we're seeing now. And they do reference Jodie Whittaker, I think, twice in the interview, but there it's very clear that they are disavowing the politics. And as I've said, I think Moffat was also disavowing what was obvious BBC interference during his last 2 seasons. Difference between Moffat and RTD, I don't think he said much. He supported the 13th Doctor shortly after the casting was made, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've heard much from RTD since really series 11 aired. It's more interviews talking about his time on the show. He's done that, but I don't think he said much about Chib's era Doctor Who. But you can tell. You look at the way both those men ran the show. I think Golden Who, or the 2 golden eras of Who, the classic series, is the Hinchcliffe Holmes era. For New Who, I really think it was the RTD era. And I'm actually starting to think that series 1 might be its golden era, because as the years go by, I find that I like that more and more. But you compare that, even I kind of distance Moffat's last 2 seasons from his first 3. But if you watch Moffat Who, especially series 5, the contrast is astounding. And narratively, it's not the same show, but in every way, it's not the same show. It's not the same show in the writing. It's not the same show in the visual effects. It's it still looks like crap when you compare it to the earliest HD Doctor Who, which was 2009, so 11 years ago. Even the Blu-ray up conversions of most of the RTD series, which were not HD, but they were up converted, look better than what we're getting now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just but I think the good thing is it makes it easier for us to distance this from Doctor Who. This is not Doctor Who. Tonally, it's completely different. It's not Doctor Who. So Doctor Who died in 2017. RAP Doctor Who, and we're sorry that this parody still exists.
It's musically different too, because this episode was so flat. You know, even if the finales weren't always that good, like Death in Heaven, for instance, it still sounded good. Yeah, it still sounded epic.
And that's Murray Gold. I was a little harsh on Gold during his last 2 years on the show, but then everything kind of fell apart in series 9 and 10. But let's be honest, the man is a musical genius. Part of what makes series 8 so impactful is Gold's score behind the show. And everybody had a theme. It was big. It was bombastic. And keep in mind, he redid the theme music 4 times. So, and now the screeching cat one at the end was terrible during the Capaldi years, so we could have done without that. But without, you can notice the absence of Murray Gold, and Seguin Akinola is not fit to be doing the soundtrack for a show like this. His score has worked twice in 2 episodes where they were atmospheric, but that's all he does. It's just droning noise in the background. Give me 1970s John Pertwee experimental music over this crap. Actually, I'd buy a soundtrack of that if I could.
Hell yeah. No, the scene where the ship, so 2 ships escaped from the planet. One was a stolen Cyberman ship. Another one was like a rickety flying saucer. That one crashes into a derelict cyber warrior carrier. And as it's crashing, you expect this bombastic music, and it sounds like somebody tuning a guitar. Ding, ding, ding. You have to see to explain. I even message you. I'm like, God, this is terrible. This is awful. And it goes ding, 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 boom. And it's like, what the hell? And that's as a ship is crashing. You know, I love over bombastic music. John Williams, Murray Gold, Jerry Goldsmith, the best at it. So, listen, it's just a bunch of running, and the Doctor goes to a planet that was briefly mentioned once, and I had to ask Starry. I'm like, so they talk about Kuchamas, and I'm like, who's Kucham? What the hell's Kuchamas? And Barristan Selmy from Game of Thrones comes out of nowhere like a wizard. And the Doctor's contacting this person. I'm like, who in the hell mentioned this? And I guess one of the refugees. Now, mind you, the human survivors are called refugees, and they don't even give context to their wokeness. That is very disappointing, Chris Chibnall. So the humans are, by the way, Cybermen can only, assimilate or convert humans. So the other alien races didn't want them around. And they only briefly mentioned that. I'm like, oh, you really lost a great woke opportunity right there. And they said, oh, we're pariahs. We're pariahs everywhere else or something like that. So they're refugees. And I'm like, oh, wow. Star Trek Picard and Doctor Who are using the same allegory, and they're failing with it. That's nice. So they're separated. They get to Barristan Selmy on planet. It's not planet Kuchimas. He is Kuchimas, and he is the guardian of the barrier. So the humans go to a barrier where if they go past it, they're safe from the Cybermen. So it's some dimensional thing. We're not sure what it is. I initially thought it was just them being suckered into a place where they get converted into Cybermen, but it might be something a little different. The Doctor, and this is while Graham and Yaz and some of the refugees who I don't know the name of, they're on a cyber warrior carrier, and they get it going. And the cyber zealot, is that what we're going to call him? I guess that's what he was called, the cyber zealot. He's not really a Cyberman. He's got emotions, and he actually volunteered himself to be a Cyberman, and they denied him, and that's why he was kind of discarded. and but now he's bringing them back. They're going to ascend its destiny. A lot of stuff attributed to emotion. And we have a new Cyberman now, which is like a hodgepodge of kind of the new one and the old one, or one of the versions of the older one with the head looks like classic era, later classic era, not early classic era, not
sideburns, sideburns.
Yeah. It's the 80s Cybermen.
The Mondasian are still the creepiest. I don't know. They have the creepiest voice. They are the creepiest. I even with their pantyhose over their head.
Yeah, no. Even to this day, they creep the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And whoever thought we would have Cyberman drama on Doctor Who?
Oh my God. Yes, the Doctor has a little conversation with the Cyber Zealot, and there's inner conflict. He hates himself, and he agrees, and he's gonna help them ascend, and they're gonna kill everything because they become the Daleks now. And I don't know how you repopulate at this point, but they magically did. There was a bunch after they went to the site of their last battle, and that's where the ship crashed into the Cyber Warrior carrier. It's all these Cybermen floating in space, but there's still a bunch of living Cybermen inside the ship. So nobody had a failsafe that could have activated the living Cybermen that they were carrying around, but I guess not. That they're warrior class, because I guess the Cybermen we were encountering before were the nurses and the teachers of the Cybermen, not the warrior class for some reason. And so they're on their way down to this planet with the barrier. And that's all this episode was just running, getting on the ship and working up to. So it was just action scene, big twist, mystery box, Doctor Who. And at the end, and I just want to get through this. So meanwhile, we get flashbacks throughout this entire episode.
Hello.
And in the flashbacks, we got a completely different story. So we see this kid, and this is what year is it? What do you think it's like, the 20s or 30s?
For the Call the Midwife stuff?
Yeah.
It's definitely early 20th century. The guy's riding a bike. I would say maybe the 1910s. Maybe.
Yeah, it's like early 20th century.
Yeah.
So he finds a baby in the middle of the road, and we see this baby grow up, and he he's a cop. He gets found by a cop and a dad, and they decide they're going to raise the kid and keep the kid. And the kid came from nowhere. And there's this, we get through this. She could have just muted. It's okay. And fast forward, the kid becomes a cop. The cop, faces a robber. He gets shot. He falls off a cliff. He survives. And they're not really sure how he does it. They're like, oh, it's magic. And they're all impressed. And it's a miracle cop. And then we jump ahead to his retirement. And this is all interspersed throughout the episode. And at first, I'm like, the dad kind of looks like the Cyber Zealot, but it's not him. Okay, I don't know what the connection is until the end, when you find out that the kid is immortal, and he after the retirement, he comes across the cop who found him when he was a baby, who hasn't aged, and his dad, and they take him into a back room and wipe his memory. And that's the cliffhanger with that one. And that happened right at the end when you get to the barrier that all the humans are supposed to go to in this, I guess this one safe space in the universe is at the end of the universe. Behind the barrier, we see burnt Gallifrey. And Barristan Selmy says he's never seen that before, although he's been guiding people through the barrier. And it's got a proximity release. So if you get close to it, it opens up. And it opens up to Gallifrey, which is burnt up. And then the master pops out at the end and says, this is going to change everything. And it's just a big setup for, I guess, we're going to get everything changed. There was an article out in Radio Times a couple of days ago that said you're going to need a drink after you see the final episode of Doctor Who. And Bolstrek might need a drink.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, we know the rumors, which we can't talk about without having your channel obliterated, courtesy of the BBC. But we know where this is going. And I mentioned before, this is all Chib's ego. He wants to completely rewrite Doctor Who history. And knowing where this is probably going to go, yeah, I may need to take up drinking again next week. I think I have a feeling we're going to have an interesting stream next week. Like I said, I was quoting Patrick Troughton. This is the final end. And this is the rewriting of everything that we've watched since 1956. And, you know, there are other showrunners that have played with it. Andrew Cartnell had his master plan, which was never carried through because they thought better of it near the end. Stephen Moffat asked a lot of questions about who the Doctor was, but never went so far as destroying canon. But this being Chris Chibnall, and we know the amount of contempt that the BBC and Chibs has for the fans, this will be his final middle finger. I'm hoping the show gets canceled, even though it has been confirmed that there will be a Series 13 without the license fee. Good luck, because you need the UK audience is split in half. In the US, Doctor Who is now getting beat by Batwoman, and the ratings are almost non-existent in Canada. So, private market, considering what this show costs, you're screwed. And it's funny thinking of how much this show costs and just looking at the effects in this episode. And we were just talking about it. But we know what to expect next week, and that's why I distance myself from this as a Whovian. Doctor Who ended in 2017, but it's going to be interesting how the lovely 5 remaining Doctor Who fans will try and justify it next week. I'm like, yeah, well, you're not actually a Doctor Who fan, considering you're celebrating the actual canonical destruction of this show.
It's sad to see. I don't really enjoy this, and knowing, I don't know for sure what's going to happen. I suspect, like you said, what's been posted has been right. What I've already talked about could be right, might not be right, might be right in a way. The video's up, and it's talking about the Doctor either not being, and now there's a possibility the Doctor wasn't a Time Lord, or there was a forgotten cycle of regenerations, or I'm pretty sure the Doctor is going to be originally female. I'm pretty sure it's going to be true now. If I'm wrong, great. And I've always said I don't care what this series does. The show could possibly survive if they don't screw with canon, but we knew they would. Bull's Trek, and I talked about it prior to the live stream. There's only so many stories you can tell when you approach everything with a politically correct woke mindset. It's either got to be man appropriates, man abuses, man betrays.
Yeah.
And that's all you're left with. So that's the wheel of wokeness you have to draw on. So you always, or man is a coward. I'm sorry, I forgot that one too. And you can't write anybody else with complexity out of fear. Okay. It's not because they don't want to, in some cases, they're afraid to, because they're afraid of what they'll be called in their social circles or by the blue check marks on Twitter who have way too much power in this world. I mean, none over me, but people allow them to have power over them, which is ridiculous.
And they're only a small minority,
yep.
Which is even sadder. Well, one thing, an experiment that I'm, after suffering through these last two series, an experiment that I'm going to conduct after this is done is I haven't watched Series 10 since it was on the air, mainly because I hated that series. But what might be an interesting study, because we know that the woke policies within the BBC were in full swing when Series 10 was shot, and that was part of the problem. I barely remember anything now that happened in that series. But what would be interesting is going back and seeing how a very competent showrunner and one of the best writers Doctor Who ever had, Stephen Moffat, dealt with these things and how he managed to skirt around them. Because at this point, and I say it over and over again, the wokeness of that series was not Moffat. You look at the time, if you look at the timeline, the same thing happened to Sherlock at exactly the same time. So the BBC was forcing his hand. But looking at how somebody who is a competent showrunner dealt with these forced ideologies, forced representation, compared to somebody like Chris Chibnall, who has no idea what he's doing. But yeah, you're right. There are there are only so many places you can go with woke ideology. Look at, I don't know, woke Batman, for example. It's the same story week after week. Man is evil and Batman's gay, and that's about it. When you base your show off ideology alone, and you can have politics. There's no problem with having politics in the show, but it can't be one-sided. And that's what we see with Doctor Who and, say, Star Trek Picard is an excellent example. What happens when you do that is you alienate everybody on the other side of the political spectrum, but you also alienate everybody in the center that really doesn't want to be preached at. So the problem is they're preaching to at most 1/3 of their fan base, and even the people that they claim to speak for can't stand this crap. It's only 5% of those groups. Most of them are actually mortified at the way they're being portrayed. So, and I think that's why this episode was, well, just another disjointed mess. And you can tell that they were trying desperately to make this look epic. And I'm sorry, but adding reverb and voice modulation does not make you sound scary. It makes you seem desperate. And blowing things up, and even those look ridiculous. No, I'm like, yes, you have to have visual effects, but you have to have something concrete behind those visual effects. You just can't have a bunch of booming explosions. Unless we want these to be the Transformers movies, but they're not. This is Doctor Who. This is a show that's deeper than just surface crap.
Agreed. And again, they're just repurposing old stuff, and it just looks sad. It's sad at this point. The show is showing its age, and I've said that before. And it's because, like you've said, they've written themselves into a corner. This thing isn't scary. There's no stakes. I never worried for a second that ship wouldn't make it. And they're probably going to lose a couple of the refugees. They're going to die. We don't know their names, so it doesn't really matter. Remember when you used to, RTD and Moffat could set up a character in a minute, like in 60 seconds, you know enough about a character where you somewhat give a crap about them. And Chibnall cannot do that. And he cannot resolve a story. It's always, we're going to build something up. We're going to create false tension with some either arbitrary time clock, or we're crashing, or something's not functioning. And then magically, usually the sonic screwdriver comes and solves everything, or the doctor thinks of something in the last minute, and it just all ties up at the end. The Power of Three is the best representation of a Chibnall episode.
It has a literal box.
Yes. It does. And that's the biggest problem with this show. We can all, there's a lot of people who don't like this show now for a lot of different reasons, but it all centers on the writing. Even the people who have been defending this show for a while have finally come around to the writing, and it's just subpar. It's sad. And I mean, listen, you're seeing the results right now. We see the results of Star Wars, and they're doubling down and then trying to, actually they maybe a halfway attempt to turn it around at the end, and it's too late. Once you lose the crowd, they're done. Once you lose the normies, you're done. The hardcore fans that are out there, I don't know, what's the best word? The enablers out there who are just continue to defend the show because it's called Doctor Who. You're not helping anything. You're really not. You're just avoiding the inevitable. And what you brought up, the license fee might be going away for the BBC, which may or may not disrupt the show because it got some funding from HBO Max. But here in America, and this won't affect Doctor Who, there's going to be a writer's strike in a couple months, and scripted dramas are going to come to a halt if they have to be completed scripts, or you can't work, or a writer can't work on the show. So they'll be producing stuff, but they won't be able to add notes or do anything. And we had one of those 10 years ago, and it killed a bunch of shows. And right now we're in the middle of the streaming wars, and we're in this huge shift in entertainment. So this could kill broadcast television here in the States, which would affect Doctor Who, because Doctor Who is pretty much the only thing on BBC America. And BBC America is about to fall apart, and that's probably why they signed with HBO Max. And that's another revenue stream gone. Plus, they have no, all they have is tchotchkes. They don't have any merchandise anywhere. I to this very day, I get pictures from Barnes and Noble, which was the last major retailer that sells anything really here in the States. and somebody shot me a picture of one sonic screwdriver and a couple of DVDs, which weren't Jody. It's sad. It's really, really sad. And they're not listening, and the BBC refuses to listen at this point. And, they come out with hit pieces instead, which we talked about, that article that came out last week about fan entitlement. Did you read that?
I saw the headline. Yeah, I've got to read it. I'm not really.
Don't worry, I'll sum it up for you.
But all you have to do is look at the headline. Yeah, we're entitled. Okay, then we're entitled to take our dollars elsewhere, you jackasses.
Yep, absolutely. With an established property that's been around for decades, the fans are entitled to some stuff. Not complete, not say over creative control, but they're entitled to some respect. And there's a respect towards a very small segment of the fandom, and the rest of you can go F off, basically. And that article coming from the BBC was very enlightening. So the article started out with Sonic, talking about Sonic listening to the fans, changing the look, and it led directly to a success, a definable success. And at the end of the article, they filled the article full. It was a fan retrospective, and they filled it full of fluff, and they brought up all the old fandoms. And so remember, the first paragraph was about Sonic changing the look of the character and listening to the fans. The last paragraph was Doctor Who basically saying misogynist at the end. That's what it was there for. Everything in that middle of that article didn't mean jack squat. And we got your message, BBC, and maybe you're like a cornered animal right now, but
things are
leave.
Well, it's absolutely hilarious how the BBC is just imploding right now. I don't know. There was some story that I saw released today about one of the radio stations spending like $10 million for, or not 10 million or $10,000 for some kind of hotel thing or something like that. There was that haircut video that went viral this week. I don't know if you've seen it. There's things like that. But then there's also, if you look at Doctor Who distributors that are private markets, the best example that I can give is Warner, which handles DVD and Blu-ray distribution in Canada and the US, Region 1. And we know that they lost God knows how much money on the Series 11 Blu-rays and DVDs. If you'll notice, a few months ago, they put out that entire David Tennant years set. I don't know if you saw it, Gary, but it's the remastered Blu-rays of Series 2, 3, 4 and the specials.
Yep.
Those were actually aborted a few years ago in Region 1, and I think it was 2017. Although for the most part they had been pressed, so they were just kind of sitting. Yep. And they put these out, so sets that they obviously already had, which had just been sitting in storage, and nobody's quite sure of exactly why it got scrapped. I think it may have been just pushed back for a few years, but they came out with that set, which in Canada was selling as low as $30 for all of David Tennant on Blu-ray. They also put the classic series, because we know most of the DVDs were taken out of distribution, a lot of them starting in 2013. Those are all now back in print, which it's not marketed as Warner Archive, but it's definitely being done through Warner Archive. So basically a print-on-demand service to try and recoup some of that. The animated episodes, we're not getting them on Blu-ray, and I don't even know if we're getting anything after the Macra Terror at this point, because the Amazon links just say, who knows when this is going to be released. So that's one example of how the private market is going to react to this. And also BBC America is largely a private market arm of the BBC because it's in the US. Same thing as BBC Canada, which nobody actually watches. They're not going to be around much longer. And then we've seen the toy sales, which, well, you would know this as well as I would, Gary, they don't exist. If you see Doctor or 13th Doctor toys in a store, they've got layers of dust on them. So the writing is already on the wall for the areas of Doctor Who that are beholden to the private market. And as soon as that happens to the BBC, good God, they are they're going to have to essentially fire everybody that they've hired in the past few years. They're going to have to cancel or retool every show on that channel. They're going to have to get rid of the news department and start from scratch all over again. And when you think of how much that's going to cost, so they dug themselves into this hole. And if we look at the BBC, 10 years ago, everything that I watched was British television. Now, a lot of it we couldn't get in North America, so I had to put on my pirate hat. But that's all that I would watch. I can't stand anything that comes out of the BBC. Occasionally, I'll check out a show, and I'm like, my God, this is awful. And this has happened in 4 years, since 2016. And as people have been, and there were a lot of retirements at the BBC at around the time this policy came into play. This was also right after they shut down Television Center, which had always been their hub. So people that knew what they were doing, people that could make great science fiction, make great sitcoms, make great dramas, were replaced within a few years with ideologues hired under the diversity strategy. And the fact that it turned in the opposite direction so quickly is just mind-boggling. I'm like, you just watch like the previews that they had before Doctor Who. I'm like, my God, how is this the same network I was watching or corporation I was watching 10 years ago?
It's like you said, it's fallen so fast, and that mirrors what happened in comic books. 5-6 years ago, comic books were healthy and rolling. 5-6 years ago, Doctor Who was pretty damn healthy and rolling and never been more popular. I would say it reached its peak popularity in the world right around the 50th anniversary. And it wasn't because of the 50th anniversary. It's because of David Tennant, Matt Smith, and RTD, Stephen Moffat, it being a hit on Netflix. There was a lot of reasons for that, but they squandered that. They completely squandered that for a lot of reasons, but Jodie was the straw that broke camel's back. And now we're in a cascade effect that they can't stop. They're not going to get new fans. They're not getting new fans. Kids here, I can only speak for the States, are not watching Doctor Who. They're not watching Star Trek. And they were. The kids were watching Doctor Who. 6-7 years ago, they were completely into it. I've said, sound like a broken record. It took over Comic-Con while Marvel was going. There were Marvel movies out, and the biggest thing at Comic-Con was Doctor Who. And that's the biggest thing in the world here, and that's like nerd mecca. And it's hard to explain unless you see it. You see 150,000 people, and 1 in 10 had a Doctor Who shirt on. Something. It was that much. It was nuts. The BBC booth, freaking lines back the door. They had these sonic screwdrivers available. These little expensive ones. They sold out like in an hour. But that stuff's all gone now. It's all gone, and it's sad.
Same thing in Canada, and it picked up in the U.S. during the Matt Smith years. In Canada, it actually picked up with Series 1, because if you look at the first 3 series, there's produced in cooperation with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. So Canada actually had part ownership of the show for the first 3 seasons. The CBC, which is our own taxpayer-funded corporation, completely bungled that. And then the Canadian license went to CTV, which is a private network. But yeah, starting with Christopher Eccleston, everybody started watching it. It was huge. Even my normie friends that only marginally like science fiction watch Doctor Who. It is dead here. Me and my friend Tony, who we did our reviews last season. We are the only 2 people I know that are watching it. And it's mainly I'm watching it to review it. Yep. Tony is watching it because she can't believe how god awful it is. So it's she watches it a few hours after we do. So I get very distraught texts as it's going through, but nobody watches it. Most people don't even know that the show is still on. And the funny thing is, if you look at Series 8, which could have been a golden era, you can see where this show could have continued. The quality could have been maintained because it was headed in a good direction. Then it disappeared. Oh, hello, Starry.
I'm back. They got me. They must have heard about my complaint. And
Yes, they did. The BBC got struck you down. Real quick, I showed this last Friday because I forgotten.
Okay.
So this is Free Comic Book Day in my comic shop. The last year I owned it. It is filled.
Wow.
If you look to the right here, this is my Doctor Who section. This whole wall was all Doctor Who comic magazines, toys, and then there was more in the back. There was more up top. There's my inflatable Dalek, and look who's on my TV right there. Look at
We
little
got
Rose.
Rose Tyler.
Wow.
I had it running 24/7 for 3 years straight. I played nothing but Doctor Who in that store, and people freaking loved it. And it's crap. And listen, when I did my viewing parties, this is how crowded it was. It was nuts to butts in there, for lack of a better term, and they squandered it, and it's squandering everything though. It's not just Doctor Who. We're seeing the end. I mean, maybe genre, maybe Doctor Who was meant to be niche. Maybe comic books were meant to be niche. I think some of the creatives in charge, don't belong. They can write television if they want to write soap operas all they want, but it's clear that Star Trek has the same exact problem that Doctor Who has right now. They're and it's not. Again, maybe it's destiny that they're failing together. I don't know, but let's get to a couple super chats here. And by the way, I wanted to ask you both theories on our cop. What was his name? Daniel? Brandon? Daniel?
Oh, cop dude?
The cop dude. I didn't write his name down.
Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon. Theories on Brandon.
What's the laziest explanation we can think of?
Well, he's a man, so I don't know. At first, when I saw that the bullet didn't hit him, I'm like, he's another Time Lord in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. But he didn't regenerate or anything. But then they wiped his memory. And then pop in on the chat because I need to watch it again because there might have been other hints to what it might be. But if it goes to, I know nuts to butts is a terrible saying. I'm sorry. It's terrible. That's what they call traffic here in Southern California. All right, it's nuts to butts traffic. Yes, I had an inflatable Dalek. I still have an inflatable Dalek. Her name is Mary, and she's my best friend.
Cop dude is going to be Rassilon.
Do you think that's a good because he was still out there. But I mean, yes, that could be it.
And you're about to see your Dalek.
I thought you know what? Next week I have it downstairs. It's deflated. I will blow up my inflatable Dalek and bring Mary up here. She's in storage. We broke up for a little while. We had an argument. And we just, irreconcilable differces.
Did it have something to do with the day of the casting announcement, Gary?
It did. Okay. I said, I'm done with you, and I deflated her because I felt deflated. My soul felt deflated. Yes. You guys didn't know there's inflatable Daleks? Yeah, there's an inflatable TARDIS.
Yeah.
Too.
I've got one. I've got a red one. So. I wondered if he was one of the timeless children. Being a baby.
So maybe he's the timeless child, and well, screw it. I'm going to say one of the rumors of BBC. Take me down. It'll only make me stronger.
As the chat disappears instantly.
Right. So this is from Noel. I read this on Noel's Twitter. Okay. So remember, my rumor, Doctor originally female, doesn't really go beyond that. I speculated beyond that. But Doctor originally female. Noel's rumor is timeless child is the Doctor, and it's a being that can just regenerate forever. And Time Lord take timeless child and appropriate her power. What I'm going to say her. We didn't. That's not confirmed yet. It could be a boy, but we saw a little girl standing there in front of that tower. So yeah. Yes. So maybe he was one of the regenerations of the timeless child, and then the memories getting wiped, whoever the hell that is, or it could be Rassilon. Who is still out there. I thought Barristan Selmy was going to be Rassilon. I saw a bunch of, I don't know. He looked very Rassilon-like. And they used a Game of Thrones actor for Rassilon last time. So why not have him regenerate another Game of Thrones actor? Because those are the only English old men left. They used the other one last week. So they had a Game of Thrones actor in it the week before. or the 2 weeks before. They're all bleeding into one. So, I honestly don't know, but I'd love to hear it in the chat. And, I used to care about stuff like that, and I just don't. I just know it's being set up. I know we're being set up to undo canon and have some kind of woke plot line be the run through for next season. So,
and let's disclaim to the BBC, this is being reported as a rumor. BBC, please don't scrub the three of us from the internet.
Yeah, this is rumor that we saw on Twitter, has not been verified in any way, shape, or form at all, and that's it. And we could be completely wrong. And if it turns out different, I will absolutely come out and say, "Hey, I was wrong." It was no problem. I don't care. I'm not here to be right all the time. I'm just here to speak my opinion. Okay, so we're going to go to NK33 for $2. Says, Gary, do we need to do an intervention on your martyr complex? Oh, I'm such a martyr. I will sacrifice myself by watching Doctor Who. It sucks watching my favorite show of all time fall down the crapper, but it's great getting on a live stream talking to Bulls Trek and the third female doctor played by Starry's girl and all of you about it. It makes it better. And then I go about my merry day. And honestly, after the last Picard episode, that was fun. That one flew right off a cliff, folks. Right off a cliff.
Oh, Pepe Le Pew. Sorry, I just had to do that.
Oh, that was terrible.
And for Jazzle.
Congratulations, Captain
Jazzle.
Kirk. You are officially the best captain. Good work, Patrick Stewart.
7 of 9 is a vengeful lesbian now. So, okay. Mega Neutrobite for £2 says Chibnall ripped off the Orville's flying drones. Yep, indeed he did. But yeah. By the way, hail the Orville. Watch the Orville on Hulu. It's available 2 seasons. So I think for $10 you can watch 2 fabulous seasons of television, including season 1's fabulous episode about a girl and season 2's great episodes, Identity Part 1 and 2. Watch the Orville today. Sponsored by Seth MacFarlane.
Yes. And Identity Part 1 and 2, if that was actual Star Trek, which the Orville kind of is, but that would have been 2 of the top 10 episodes of all time.
That would have been perfect.
MacFarlane.
I really liked a Happy Refrain as well. That one of my favorites.
That's a great one.
I love that one.
Take that, Alex Kurtzman.
The only complaint I have about the Orville is they're not on Blu-ray, and I made that complaint directly to the source, and the source said, "It's not our fault. Sorry, we want it." They definitely want it, but that was but that could change now that they're not under Fox anymore. Mr. Miles, chief engineer. Oh, Mr. Miles, chief engineer, how are you? For $2, he asks, is it true that you owned a comic book store? It is true. That is a verified rumor. I know I got some inside sources myself who was there. I was there, and it's true. It's true. Mr. Roboto for $2. How long till the PC doctors? How long till the PC doctors have to kill? How long until they have to kill Doctor Who? How long until the PC doctors kill Doctor Who? I think we're watching it. It's killed. It's done killed, Mr. Roboto. It's done dead. They killed
we're just waiting for the license fee to go away, and then we'll be what is it? New Orleans, they have funeral celebrations. We'll be having a funeral celebration.
Oh yeah, next week's going to be epic live stream. Epic live stream. Like this one. Nicholas Horton for £5. Hail everyone. I'm still rooting for the cyber people. If the cannon gets destroyed, it'll be because big hornet's nest it's going to kick the big hornet's nest with the remaining fans. Nicholas, I seriously would think that, but I think the people who are hanging on now will somehow defend it. Like the same ones who were telling me I was full of crap, that they would never do anything like this when I did the initial rumor, will be the ones defending it. They'll move the goalposts again and go, well, this is the thing about the show. It's about change. The show's about change. It is. It's within a parameter. You break the foundation, which you've already done. So at this point, F it. I dare you. Sean Casey for £2. Cowardly white dudes, you watching the same program? Did I? There was 2 cowardly white dudes in there. There was one who was so afraid he wouldn't talk anymore, and then he ran when he was scared, and he died. And his friend is still alive, and there's points where he's brave, but he is the most cowardly of the group. He's Shaggy. So yes,
Yeah.
it wasn't all
I
cowardly.
don't understand that. Why would they kill him? Surely they'd want to keep the humans alive so they can convert them. I understand the drones shooting the defenses, but to actually kill a human when there's only like 7 of them.
Yeah, it's kind of counterproductive.
Well, yeah. Why did the drones kill 3 people and leave when they had everybody else dead to rights and they could have just taken it? Again, why are they killing people? They need people to be Cybermen. Why aren't they capturing them or stunning them or taking them to the camps? Why are you wiping out the human race when you need them for replenishment? You're not the Daleks. Even the Daleks take prisoners. I don't know why. Probably sadists and slavery and stuff. But Sean Casey, hey, you are welcome to question us at any time, though. Thank you for the £2. I would, and I respect your opinion. And yeah, absolutely. Cracklin for $4.99. Why do shows insist on ruining the intrigue by explaining the origins, the mysteries of their show? I call it the metachlorian effect. Cracklin, that is a good point. Or why do they need to tell us what's going on? Like Jodie Whittaker yelling, they're aiming for the, she brought in the thing that it dampens the inhibitor. And she yells, they're aiming for our defenses, when you can clearly see the Cybermen tracking the defenses and shooting at it. She's all, they're aiming for the defenses. Then she tells us to duck when Cybermen start shooting at everybody.
I just sent you guys both something entertaining in the DMs on Twitter.
Yep.
I just saw this tweeted. This is the next cover for Radio Times.
No, that is not real.
No, that is real.
Oh my God.
Here comes Doctor Who coming at you. It's hard. It's showdown time on Doctor fucking Who.
Mamma mia, mamma mia.
Oh my God. Yaz is so stunning and brave. She is so. Ryan, maybe he'll say something that won't be mumbling. And oi, Graham, oi.
Yep. That's going to be a thumbnail.
That is...
Oh, what's funny is this show will be. I mean, nobody cares now. Nobody really cares. It's just us, pretty much, and the staunch defenders who see the show as confirmation bias for their weird, worldview of intolerance that's somehow tolerance. And and it'll be forgotten. It'll be a memory. Star Trek Picard, believe me. Okay, so it's February, be the end of March. By June, nobody will be talking about Doctor Who.
No.
Nobody. It'll be
Nobody will be talking about Doctor Who in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're probably right. And that's probably going to be a good thing. That's okay. I'm going to get back here. Thank you for sharing that.
You're all very welcome. I figured everybody could. Yeah,
we're gonna have some fun with that. That should be the thumbnail for next week's show, guy.
Yep. I'll just get my googly eyes out. I'll break out. It's time to break out my googly eyes. I haven't done that in a thumbnail or two. And Nicholas, thank you again for the £5. Sean, thank you again for the £2. Cracklin, thank you again for the $4.99. Andy Morley for £5. Didn't Tom Baker say the glitter gun ended the cyber war in Revenge with Vaga, etc.? Is that the same war? I don't think so. I think this is a completely different war. That's what I'm assuming.
Ask the creative team about that episode, and they'll just give you confused looks.
Yeah, they're like, "What
is that?"
Yeah. But the doctor did pass out sweets. Starry
that annoyed me.
Oh damn.
And gold was mentioned again, weren't it? About the
Yeah.
Cybermen being allergic to gold.
Yep.
Well, at least they did some research.
The only question I have is, how did the doctor, was the doctor gone for a long period of time? How did she or he let the Cybermen completely wipe out all humans in the universe? The freaking universe. Like, was she on a vacation, or or was there no doctor at that time? No context to this. There's no context to anything. So you're going to have people going, that was a great episode. There was so much action and explosions and stuff. And yeah, okay. Name me one of the refugees. What? I know one was a teacher. Don't know his name.
It's all about crappy boom boom explosion effects.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crappy boom boom. I like that. Crappy boom boom. Sam Whiskey for $4.99. It's a shame to see the descendants of the Redcoats act so cowardly. Is Jodie the first female doctor if you do the math? No, she's not. Right now, it's the first. It's actually the first female of color, played by Joe Martin, is the first female doctor. So actually, I should call her the second female doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker. Chris Perja for £5.
Well, it actually could be the 14th.
Or yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. Chris Perja from Canada, one of the best wrenches in the business. One of the Nerdrotics for £5. Why would Dr. Jody listen to Captain Jack? He is a white male after all. Good. I sit corrected, Chris. I sit corrected. The famous Mark C for $5. What's up, Mark? Look, Cybermen. Pay no attention to the story. We have Cybermen.
Yeah.
Just like we have Jadoon. We have Jadoon, and then we're going to throw in Jack and another doctor, and that was a mess. Bolstrek said it best. This is desperation. They are throwing everything but the kitchen sink and the tenant, and that's coming next season. I promise you, David Tennant is coming back next season. Take it to the fracking bank. He will be back. That'll be prior to the 60th, but he'll want to help out his friend Jody, and they're going to beg and give him whatever pounds are left, probably the last check from the license fee.
Well, I'm going to invent a new word. So when Tennant comes back, he's going to be Picarded.
Yes.
He'll come back and say, that rumor by Doomcock, that I am more convinced than ever. Yeah.
It'll be the 10th Doctor apology tour, just like Picard.
I'm so sorry. He already apologized as well. I'm so sorry. Trek, that'd be funny to cut a video of all the times he said, I'm so sorry. And that'll be it. Trek Dog for £5.49 for the final episode of Doctor Who. You do not just need a drink. You will need a critical drinker and a Bulls Nerdrotic. Cheers. Critical drinker will, I'm sure he will cover the last episode. I don't want to make promises for him, but I'm pretty sure he will.
It's going to be, we're going to have a fun time next week.
Yes.
I'm almost tempted to take Monday off.
I did that for Game of Thrones. I took the, Flavius Alicanther for £5. Hail Gary, Bulls Trek. Hope you're both okay. The series is safe for now since the license won't go until the next BBC charter renewal in 2027. Is it safe until 2027, or can they get rid of it sooner?
I know it's they're decriminalizing not paying the license fee by 2022. Okay. That's going to have some interesting effects.
But it's going to be, okay, Flavius. Yeah. I wouldn't say Doctor Who is safe though. It still needs people to watch it. So you can, how many times have we seen shows renewed, movies planned, things announced that never happen? I give you Lucasfilm. Cassian Andor on hold. Kenobi on hold. Dan and Dave, we're going to do a trilogy. Gone. Rianne Johnson was supposed to do a trilogy. Never going to freaking happen. Kevin Feige is supposed to do a movie, but now they announced another movie. I don't know if these are going to happen. You see stuff announced. Star Trek 4. Noah Hawley. Not going to happen. There's so many things that will not happen. Now, I know it's a little more because the BBC does plan out, and they have because of their budgeting and everything. So I absolutely believe we're getting another season for sure, 100%. And I think they'll probably regenerate after that. My prediction is we hear about a new Doctor sometime, early next year?
Yeah, it's usually before the series.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind, though, Doctor Who can't survive without the US, and right now it's getting beat by Batwoman.
Yes. And
Oh, God.
I think HBO Max might have saved it for a couple more years after that. I know there's reports out there that there's a season 14 and 15. Would that mean Warner Brothers has creative say over Doctor Who? Because that's an American company having creative say over Doctor Who. I don't know if they do. Well, maybe they do that. I don't know. They kind of partnered up for the Eighth Doctor on Fox. So yeah, maybe, sure. But they need to do something drastic. And if they did bring it back and America had some say, then it would be a young man of some kind. It doesn't matter what color the pigmentation is, but it'll be a young man of some kind and something they can make toys out of and play sets. And I guess we could, what can we make out of a play set for Jodie Whittaker? They can make a figure. If they do it, they really blew it. Big Chief blew it. They need to make the Jodie Whittaker 1/6 scale with multiple facial expressions, because that's her most distinguishable aspect. So
we'll have scraunch face Doctor yelling at white male Doctor, and just clueless trying to be Matt Smith Doctor.
The Doctor
and the goldfish face.
Yes. The action figure is actually, it's got her mouth closed for one. TM Martin for $5. Hello, Gary and Bullstrick and Starry Eye Girl. What do you think of the new pimped up Cybermen? And do you long for the days when Cybermen were actually scary as fuck? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, they even Moffat had a problem with it. There was moments he was close. He was so close, and no, you got to go back to at least the Mondasian voice. That's the creepiest.
Yeah.
And
great.
Yeah, I think
go watch Tomb of the Cybermen. That's going to be my palate cleanser tonight.
You know what the problem is? They always want to go epic too quick. They always want to swarm you with the armies of Cybermen. When a Cyberman is scarier by himself or with a couple and they're hidden and people don't know that they're walking up on something that's just going to, take them over. I think if you try that, and the thing is,
one of the best scenes was in the Pandorica Opens when it was that cyber head after Amy. I found that really effective.
Yes. No, and hey, listen, when they oh my God, I'm blanking on the name of the episode. The one where the Missy reveal, Dark Water.
Yeah.
Dark Water. I thought the first part of that was freaking great.
Yep.
Moffat could never do the second part of it.
Well, Moffat, he couldn't do series finales. The problem is he would overcomplicate the arc, and then he couldn't resolve it. And the worst example of that was probably Series 6, where to this day nobody knows what, including probably Moffat, knows what was going on in the Wedding of River Song. So it was a Moffatism. Great, absolutely amazing on standalone episodes. Not that great on arcs, and aside from A Christmas Carol, terrible with Christmas specials. Yep,
totally. Oh, I love A Christmas Carol. Totally agree. Russell T Davies could bring the epic. He knew how to do that. And it's too bad. It's too bad. I've watched season 6. I've lost count how many, and I enjoy it, but it made no sense at the end. Time to break out the Blake 7 DVD. Avon Lives says, problem being for £1.99. It is. It flat out is. And once Doctor Who's done and Star Trek is done, I'll start doing that. I have canceled my TV license this week. I'd rather risk the harassment, doorstep visits, fines, and even prison than support the agenda in Doctor Who, says I Wallace for £5. Hey, we got you back. You let me know if they take you to freaking prison for not paying that. Well, I don't know. Do they have bail in the UK? I'm sure they have bail. We can go find.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, apparently they have imprisoned people, and they used to have the TV license detecting van. Just do a Twitter search or Google search. It's absolutely hilarious.
They used to do these really, really sinister adverts for it as well.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those on YouTube. Man, that corporation is evil. But at least they used to make good stuff. Now they're evil and make crap.
Is that it? Oh my God. Is that really it?
Probably. It looks ridiculous.
God. You guys are so funny over there. Hey, I'll straight up say it. I was watching it today on iPlayer. I just fired up my VPN, and the only thing it asks you is, do you have a license fee? And I'm like, oh shit, do I say yes or no? So I just said yes. And I'm like expecting to fill out like my license fee number. And they're like, okay, thank you very much. We trust you.
Oh God. Yeah.
Freaking Brit. Great. I love you guys. Stop, or I'll say stop again. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, that is the van. And apparently it didn't actually work, but they would drive. This is what they did with your license fee dollars back in the 70s and 80s. So this thing didn't actually work. They knew it didn't work, but they would drive it around with that twirling antenna on top to scare people. This is the BBC, folks.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed.
So great. I freaking love the UK rules in every way. I love you guys. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. This'll get him. Let's scare him into paying.
Yep.
I'm driving the van, right? I detected you didn't have a license. Pay up the pounds, or you go to the pokey. I don't know what to call jail over there. You'll get poked in the pokey. I don't know if that goes on you. I can't. You know what? English prison is probably really polite. It's really clean. Oh, I'm sorry. You go in the shower. I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. I have to shank you now for snitching. You know. Yeah, you guys are all polite about everything. 200-watt studio for $5. End of series 3. Jodie starts to regenerate. End credits. We never see her replacement ever. That could happen. Or they'll have her walk off, just like McCoy did.
Yeah.
Just walk off.
Except back in Survival, you feel really sad watching that scene. Here, you just be clapping.
Yeah.
Yep. That scene looks like they're like, we are down to our last pound. We need to find some little vacant lot near the BBC studio where you guys can just go walk into some random shrubbery. It was very sad, though.
Yeah, it was tacked on at the end.
It was.
Yep. It's better what they did that it's the poor sixth doctor. They didn't even let him come back. That was messed up.
Oh no, they offered him to come back for one story, which he had to wait a year to film, during which time he couldn't tell anybody about this and couldn't get any work. And Colin Baker told them to do various things. And then when they did the actual regeneration scene, like, well, you can come back and do a regeneration scene, Colin. And then he told them to go do various things more forcefully.
Yes.
He's all, wait, I've got a couple of things I want to show you. One, two, yeah, how you guys do it over there. But 200-watt studio for $5. Open mouth 13th Doctor figure with multiple accessories to put in it. 200-watt studio. That is terrible. And I'm laughing my ass off. Cracklin, $4.99. If Doctor Who has to go with identity politics, I'll be fine with Richard Iota from It Crowd. If you haven't seen it, how dare you? How dare you? Oh my God! Did you see my Jeremy? How dare you?
Yeah,
I gotta show you guys. Just in case you guys, I'm very proud of this meme. By the way, I made it myself. Oh no, that's not it. That's not it right there. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Give me a second. I guess I made quite a few things since then. Oh, there it is, right there. Be ready for the stuff of nightmares if you haven't seen this before. This is our good friend Jeremy as Greta. How dare you?
Oh my good God. Yep, that's something we'll all be seeing in our nightmares.
Yes.
I was laughing my ass off. I'm all making it all. My wife. What the hell are you laughing at them all? You'll never understand. Finding Neo for $4.99. Thanks for entertaining us while I do my laundry and clean my house. I never watched Doctor Who, but you guys make it interesting. Keep it up. Finding Neo. That's very nice that you're cleaning your house and doing your laundry, and that we can entertain you. It's my pleasure, my supreme pleasure, and it's also because of the great Starry-Eyed Girl and Bulls Trek. Thank you for joining me. You guys make this much, much easier.
Merci, mon ami.
Bitta, baby, bitta.
Oh, oui.
Scottish Nerd for £2. Porridge, a UK prison sitcom, eye-opening. LOL.
Brilliant show. I have it on
Yes.
DVD. If you have not watched it, you must watch Porridge.
I will watch Porridge
from the 1970s. So classic 70s British comedy.
It's very funny. Very.
Cardinal Sin for $2. What's up? What's up, Cardinal Sin? Says, show Jodie regenerating into a time slug.
Be preferable.
At least she couldn't open her mouth. 200 Watt Studio for $2. You missed one, some super chats. I'm gonna go. I always go back up because there's always a jump, which, oh my God, there was a major one on this one. Hang on, let me go all the way to the top. So boop, 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 boop. Okay, it wasn't that bad. Force Ghost Jeremy, thank you. Hey, Mr. Who was that? 200 Watt Studio, thank you. I appreciate you. You complete me, 200 Watt Studio. You complete me. Force Ghost Jeremy for 10, or Force Ghost. I assumed it was Jeremy. Now it just says Force Ghost J. For £10. By the 50th, I had a shed that looked like a TARDIS, and I made a half-size TARDIS that I had in my house. Now that's all gone, and there's not one bit of Doctor Who merch on display. Want to buy a Sonic remote? Actually, if it's like the 10th Doctor one, yes, I will buy it. Those are very hard to find. They're really crazy expensive. So Force Ghost Jeremy, Gary, Nerdrotic.com. Email me today. Yes, I will buy it.
It's so sad. It's sad to hear that. It's understandable.
Oh yeah, there's. I'm still a fan. Okay, there is a life-size TARDIS available down in Walnut Creek, which is just 30 miles south of me, for $1,400. $1,400, freaking big ass TARDIS, and I'm like, I can't pass that up. That's about how much it would cost, because I've always wanted one. And yeah, they can't give it away. It's been on eBay for months. I'm actually going to probably offer them $1,000. So, but
I must see that.
Yeah,
I want my own canine. Actually, no, that would drive Lexi nuts. But yeah, I still want my own canine.
In North Carolina, there is a Dalek available, a functioning, one of the RTD era Daleks. It's like $3,500. I don't know how the hell I'd get it. It's too much money. Too much money. That's a freaking car. I could sell a comic for it, but that hurts. So Force Ghost J, email me and we'll discuss terms. Gerald for $5. What is the biggest source of income in your? What was the biggest? I'm sorry, didn't mean to blast you in the mic there. Sorry about that. What was the biggest source of income in your comic store? I have a feeling it's not the sale of comic books. Well, at the time, it was. Gerald, if I owned a comic book store right now, it would be toys and back issues. But new comics were 70% of my business, and the rest was toys and older comics. But that's when comics were very healthy, and I invested heavily into it. But nowadays, no, I would probably not sell new comics right now. I don't want to support Marvel, and I wouldn't support Marvel. I wouldn't support anything they do. I don't support their politics, and that's a live stream for another day. Did you know people from a certain party here in the States work in both companies? People who worked for political campaigns. So if you don't think there's like infiltration going on, I don't know why they would infiltrate the comic book industry. It's not, kids aren't reading that shit anymore. It's sad. It's freaking sad. But listen, I'm not against those parties. I just think it's very odd that these people don't have comic book backgrounds, but all of a sudden they have like control at DC, currently at DC. TM Martin for $15. Gary, is fandom totally cooling in all sectors though? Ninth Doctor Christopher Eccleston emerged from the TARDIS at 31 Flavors of Gallifrey 1. Recent Doctor Who convention in LA, fans went nuts. Oh yeah, that was to Doctor Who fans. But this is the first Gallifrey 1 that didn't completely sell out until like the very last minute in their history.
Wow.
Yep.
And it's also a very small convention. It's like 5,000 people.
It used to sell out months in advance.
Yep. Star Trek Las Vegas was 4,000 people. Now, I put a clip up of my Star Trek Picard review. It's just a quick clip. Prior to that clip, I have a big shot of the crowd when Picard is announced. And this is related to the Doctor Who thing, because I'm going to go look at the Doctor Who video, and I suspect it'll be the same. You take a good look at that crowd, and it's a bunch of people who look older than me, and I'm old. I saw a lot of heavy, silver-haired people and skinny getting up to clap, and that's the first time they stood up that entire speech. And I didn't see any again, you will see it in my video when it comes out after Picard. I challenge you to find somebody under the age of 35 in that whole shot in the entire hall.
You won't.
You won't.
That's your Star Trek fandom. And I'm gonna have to take off in a couple minutes, guys, just in case you see me vanish into the ether. I got to get into my TARDIS.
Yes, absolutely. We got a couple more to go, but yeah, just bail when you need to go, and let me know so I can give you time to plug too. So that Radio Times cover, Queen wants their album cover back. LOL, says 200 for $5. Thank Swarner 123 5 pounds. Short time watcher, first time super chatter, but my God, as a British Asian myself, the lack of character Yaz makes me headbutt my wall. Makes me want to headbutt my wall. She's so boring. She is, and I tell you what, Sasha. I think Sasha was wasted being the master.
Terribly.
I think he would be an excellent doctor. Excellent doctor. Crappy Boom Boom is my hooker name, says 200 Watt Studio for $2.
Oh God.
That's brilliant.
Matt G for $5. Daisy Ridley should be the next doctor. Let the BBC deal with the Raylos. No shit. Oh my God. Larry for $2. Show us your Cyberman mask up close, please. I will after Bowles Trek leaves. I will. Sure. 200 Watt Studio for $5. End of Series 3. Jody starts. Okay, I read that one. R2D squared for $1.99. Do you think Jodie Whittaker's acting is bad, or is it the writing?
Both.
Kamikaze, Australian $5. Hail, Gary. Have the cyber beings finally grown vajayjays? They've always had vajayjays. They've always been men. There's women in the men, but yes. No, I don't think I think that they cut the Johnsons off, and I don't do that stuff.
They save the brain, and that's pretty much it.
Talking with my buddy of mine earlier, basically Doctor Who isn't recognizable as Doctor Who. It's just political agenda machine. More time spent on PC message rather than the show that entertains and keeps us glued to the telly, says Waldo865 for $25. I could not agree more. That's it's edutainment that's bad. I'll let you go. Let's let Bulls Trek please plug your channel before you exit. I don't want to keep you any longer and make you late.
No worries, man. But yeah, I have to skedaddle. But I will be back on another live stream a little bit later. But yeah, so I apparently I have a YouTube channel, so I do this YouTube stuff. I have the world's most amusing Twitter account, so if you're bored, just look my name up on Twitter, and it will make your day. And yeah, that's all I have for this week. But next week, oh good lord, yeah, I will not be leaving early next week. I don't think anybody will be leaving early next week. I have a feeling the stream is going to be a bit longer. I don't know. Gary might run into the Inquisition depending on how bad it is.
I am prepared to do that. So
Gary, we might watch Gary die next week.
Yeah.
So pray for Gary and Starry. As always, it was awesome. And so 1 week left. Everybody pray for Doctor Who. Now I'm sad.
Yes.
I'm sad, and I'm leaving.
Take care, Bulls Trek. The great Bulls Trek. Everybody. Round of applause for one of the best YouTubers out there. Love that guy. He and Critical Drinker. That's one of the best things about it. I got to meet you. I got to meet Critical Drinker and Bulls Trek. I consider him a good friend. And yeah, it's good stuff. So there is positive that comes out of this. Okay, we got a couple more left. Hey, Gary, did you get that email that I sent you? By the way, if you want to share the photos that I sent they are in the email. You can, says Captain Mohart for $4.99. I haven't checked my email yet this morning. I'm sure I did. If I have a second, I'll do it. And thank you for the super chat. Now, if I don't find it, Captain, I'll share them on the Nerdrotic Nooner tomorrow. Okay, deal. I have a super chat square up to do. I also have an interview with Mark Zickery that I need to. I don't know if I'm going to have time to come out. It might have to come out tomorrow. It's supposed to come out yesterday. Sorry to Mark. But he's got a GoFundMe going for Space Command. So I'll probably just plug it on the Inquisition and do the interview tomorrow. I'm just out of time because I have to do a Doctor Who review. I will be doing a review on this episode.
Yeah.
A video review. I'm doing one. So this live stream, of course, will go over to Nerdrotic Live once it's done. Subscribe to Nerdrotic Live. That's where all my live streams go. Wolfgang Winter for $5. Did you see the article yesterday? AT&T closing DC Comics if FG fails, says Ethan Van Sciver. Yeah, I've known he said that, and I agree. DC Comics is probably going to get shut down. If 5G has to be a giant hit, and I think the comic industry is the retailing wing is going to go bye-bye. Yeah, I think it's done. Yeah, that's a live stream for another day. It's that one's sad. That one's very sad. But again, that's the end result of when you go hard, partisan, politically correct, woke, and mistreat your audience and disrespect your audience and alienate people that you cannot afford to alienate. You know what? Republicans watch Doctor Who. Conservatives watch Doctor Who. They read comic books. They buy comic books. They love Star Trek. And it was a place where Republicans and Democrats and libertarians and freaking communists and fucking anarchists could get together, forget all that shit, and talk about Doctor Who. But instead, all of these franchise owners decided to pick a side. And we knew they were on this side, okay? It was never a fucking secret. And I don't care.
I know.
Fucking cared. But when you start alienating your customers, being dumb and mean about it, that's where I've got a problem. And you sacrifice a show. You sacrifice a show that's been around for decades. And yeah, you can renew it all you want and lose your ass on it. And that's what they're going to do. But they're only going to lose their ass for so long, folks. So the end is nigh. The end is nigh unless something drastic. I think the end is nigh. I think it's beyond the point of no return. They could bring in another young guy. I think people are just freaking out. There's a point that happens to a show. The Doctor was part of my childhood. This is crap, says Casey Osowski for $5. Yeah, I'm sorry. And honestly, Starry, like, this is better than season 11. Like, it's better. But that's the reason being is they just repurposed a bunch of shit. That's it. I'm cussing a lot. I'm pissed.
But this one's going to do the most damage.
Oh yeah,
especially after next week.
Oh yeah, this one will make me more angry. As bad as season 11 was, it didn't damage canon. But they gave us hints last year that they were going to do this. And I talked about it, and other people talked about it. Again, the rumor I had that the Doctor was originally female, that is an old-ass rumor. Okay, that's a rumor I've been sitting on a long time. I talked to my patrons last night about it. I got an email from somebody I know and I've known for years, and I didn't want it to be true. That's why I sat on it for so long, and I buried it in a video. I didn't make it the main point of my video, and you can find it on the channel. Thank you to John F. Trent for writing an article about it on Bounding into Comics, and we'll see if it happens. And if it doesn't, I will be happy. I will be very, very happy.
Yes.
It's not true. So, yeah. I'm going to run over which Cyberman mask. I've got 2 Cyberman masks. I don't think. Hang on. I'm going to pull it off.
Is it the voice changer helmet?
Yes, it's the voice changer helmet. Yeah. So I've got the Cyber Leader, the one with the brain, and then I got a regular one.
Oh.
So, but they're badass. They're cool. This is Doctor Who had the best toys. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you why. Hang on. I got to be careful on this one. I'm going to knock a bunch of shit down.
You've got to do the voice right.
There we go. Don't mind me. I'm plugging back in. I turned the camera off because I'm not wearing any pants. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm wearing my workout shorts.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There you go.
Oh, that's awesome.
They are brilliant. I mean, like these, Doctor Who had the best toys of any franchise, period. And I'm comparing it to Star Wars, Kenner, old school, best action figures, best sculpts, best paints, best play sets. I know there's a lot of Star Wars people who disagree with me, but go ahead. These are badass toys. You can see the little batteries right there. I was missing the top part. Actually, it's in a cup over there, but yeah, it's fully functional. I believe. I'm not going to put it on. No, hell no. But yeah, and then they have a Dalek one too, and I love them.
Yeah. I had the Dalek one, but the kids broke it. It was the gold one as well.
Yes. Mine, the light doesn't work in the stock, but you can the voice change. But the stock comes off really easy and it breaks.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Jolton Burrow for $5. Put me in charge of Doctor Who. I'll start by bringing Capaldi back to reaffirm his regeneration and erase the entire Jodie Whittaker era, and that will be just the start. Let me tell you something, a little something about the Capaldi era. I'm going to give you what's called an indicator of how popular Capaldi really was. We're going to go to eBay. We're going to go to Big Chief Studios. Doctor Who. I'm a big fan of the Big Chief. Okay, you can tell I'm a major fan of the Big Chief. I pretty much get everything they do. The excellent people work there. It's staffed by some of the nicest people. They respond to your emails immediately. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but it's worth it if you could afford it. Not everybody could afford this kind of stuff, to be honest with you. So I don't mean to flaunt or anything, but I'm just a fan of this stuff. So Capaldi's, it's rare as hell. So somebody's asking $650, and this person will get it. The Capaldi 1/6 scale is very hard to find. Now there's a rare convention one out there that's thousands of dollars, and he's got his purple coat.
Wow.
But yeah, it's good luck finding one of these. So like this is actually kind of a bargain. It's great. I've got one. Very happy. Capaldi is popular, like really popular over there in the UK. He's got his fans over here, but quite frankly, a lot of people didn't like him either. Unfortunately, I don't think it wasn't his fault. I think, I think there was some ageism there, to be honest with you, with some of the youngsters here in America. As a matter of fact, I know there was.
Yeah,
they just want to see an old guy. You know, that's the truth of the matter, and they probably should have given him a chance. Gwen Adams for $1. Thank you for the $1 donation, Gwen. I appreciate it. And TM Martin for $5. Gary, you do know that pants means underwear in the UK. LOL. Commando. Oh, I didn't know that.
That's why I'm laughing.
Oh, okay. Well, pants here in the States mean pants. It's just like you guys call crackers or Yeah. What do you call cookies again?
Biscuits.
Biscuits. Yeah. Biscuit is like a biscuit. It's not a cracker. It's like not like a muffin, but it's something you bake. It's not it's a goddamn cookie. No, we call them chonies, underwear, briefs, boxers, or commando. Yeah. But that's a personal question, Tia Martin. Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. So thank you very much. We're going to end it here, folks. I've got videos to make. I'm going to make a Star Trek video. I'm going to make a Doctor Who video that'll be out in the next couple of days. And the Inquisition is tonight. So we'll talk for those of you in the States who haven't seen Doctor Who yet. If you want to sit through that episode, Doomcock and I will be talking about it tonight on the Inquisition, which I believe is on my channel this time. I think it's on my channel. Pretty sure it is. Jorian Drake for 1,000 Huffington Posts. Am I late? Yes, you are. Sorry, past midnight here. Do you know that Doctor Who Double Down situation yet? If not, Google it. BBC related. Oh, I know it. We were talking about it a little bit. But go to Noel the TARDIS Zone. Go to his Twitter if you're curious. He has everything posted you need to read there, and you'll see that my rumor might not have been the worst of it. It actually could be worse.
It's terrifying.
Terrifying. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Like, share, and subscribe. And Starry Girl, please plug your Twitter or channel or whatever you like to plug.
Yeah, you can follow me at Starry-Eyed Girl, and you can also find me on the Type 40 podcast.
Sweet.
Thank you.
All right. And again, this will go over to Nerdrotic Live once it's done. So don't forget to subscribe and go check it out over there. 200 Watt Studio. Gary, did you get my super chat about the Macra Terra? No, I didn't. Hang on. Gary, you 75% me. I got that one. Now, hang on. End credits. And if I ever miss one, I could I'll do it on a super chat square up. I got to do a super chat square up for Friday night, but I'm kind of on a time schedule here. Open mouth, creepy boom boom. That Radio Times article wants it's okay. No, I did miss it. Okay, for $5, 200 Watt Studio. The other day I ordered Macroterror Blu-ray disc from Amazon UK because Amazon USA doesn't offer it. Probably due to some faceless ones. No, it's not. I don't think the UK gets a month before we do. Did it not offer it at all? Because I thought that was out, man.
That's strange.
Hang on, let me see.
Yeah, I did.
Let me see. I know the UK gets the stuff. No. On Blu-ray, he said. No, there it is right there. 1041. You can get it by March 6th. So when did you buy it? If you were talking like a couple of months ago, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if BBC or if you can get stuff in the UK quicker for sure. That's where I get because I have region free and it doesn't matter with Blu-ray anyway. So I buy all my stuff from Amazon.co.uk. Yeah, there you go. So
I still need to get that one. I'm behind on my Blu-rays.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody. Have a good day. And if I missed any super chats, I'll hit them on the super chat square up. That'll be tomorrow. So take care and cheers.
Bye.